is testing an artificial intelligence tool that has the ability to write news articles. Google has reportedly pitched the product, known internally as Genesis, to the New York Times, the Washington Post, and News Corp, the Wall Street Journal's owner, according to individuals familiar with the matter. According to the New York Times, Google feels the tool could serve as a personal assistant for journalists and could help, quote, steer the publishing industry away from the pitfalls of generative AI.
Google spokesperson Jen Kreider said in a statement, in partnership with news publishers, especially smaller publishers, we're in the earliest stages of exploring ideas to potentially provide AI-enabled tools to help their journalists with their work. Some executives who saw the Google pitch saw the tool as unsettling, and two people reportedly said the product appeared to take for granted the hard work and creativity that goes into writing stories. Well, Jessica, I'm a journalist. I write stories, and I got to say, early in my career, there were definitely things I was writing that probably could be handled by an AI tool, but I am pretty much blanket against the idea of using artificial intelligence to replace human work. I think, one, it's creepy, and two, it is just anti-worker. I see this as a slippery slope. Everybody laughs when it happens to journalists because nobody likes journalists, and for very good reason. But there's also been talk about AI, driving trucks and delivering goods and replacing all of these other lower skilled jobs throughout the country. And I think we just have to really consider the human element of this and what this means for individuals who rely on those types of jobs in order to be able to make a salary and support themselves and their family.
Yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed that the people who have their hands on the code and computing power necessary to create powerful AIs are using it to replace creative jobs that people enjoy doing. Journalism is not a job of just reporting facts. Not only do I not think AIs can do a great job finding primary sources for stories and gathering information on their own, I just don't think they could do a good job presenting the news from an important human or moral lens, like people rely on their favorite journalists to do. But I think using AI to replace jobs that are creative, that are enjoyable, ones that we enjoy doing as workers, but also jobs that people value the labor output from an actual human being. Why are we not using AI to file people's taxes for them? Make AI do the boring jobs that we don't really need a human being to do or want a human being to do. I think that's a fault of the people who have their hands on these algorithms and computing power. That's not to mention that AI is just simply taking in human work, so articles and news reported by human beings, and outputting something similar to what it's taking in. It's not doing original reporting, which is the goal of having news articles written. So this is honestly an absurd product, and the fact that they think they can make money through marketing this to big news corporations is shocking to me.
Yeah, I get the sense that they're trying to use this to basically blurb other articles. So, for example, a lot of small local outlets, or even just smaller outlets in general, will blurb other original reporting from other outlets as a means of increasing the amount of content on their websites or in their newspapers. And I could see a world where AI would be perfectly capable of doing that, except for the fact that, as you said, there is a moralistic and humanistic standpoint of reporting the news, where if you're writing a lead sentence, right, you have to know what information is considered most important to your reader. And I don't think AI is capable of doing that, or should even be making those types of decisions. This is the argument where we kind of always get to when we're talking about AI, which is, what is the morality of empowering this type of technology that has shown the ability to have some level of independent thought and basically leads us to sort of a Terminator-esque kind of idea of the world? Why would we try to give them the tools, or give it the tools to enable its intellectual capacity even more, to a point where it does start to feel like uncanny valley and starts to actually present a threat to humans? And even if it's not a physical threat or an existential threat, there is, again, this threat to people's ability to work. if you basically just have a small class of people who are doing just the amount of work necessary in order to fuel a technology, as opposed to doing work for the sake of productivity, for the sake of the inherent value, the intrinsic value that exists in work for a lot of people, in the ability of humans to feel like they've accomplished something that is worthwhile, that takes away just a very unique part of the human experience that doesn't exist in other species and is very valuable to people's lives.
Yeah, most people don't want to pay for news. It's not that these companies need to cut costs so that they can bring in more people who are going to subscribe. There's a lot of subscription-based news. People don't like paying for news. And so by outputting more news articles because you have AI working for you and writing them, is that going to increase your subscriptions? I don't think so. Are you going to cut costs by maybe having less journalists writing for you? Maybe. I could see that happening. If you're Google and you're pitching this product, what's the pitch that you're making? Because as a consumer, I don't see this as a value add. When I see articles about the same subject published by the Wall Street Journal versus the New York Times, I know what kind of a different lens I'm going to get. When I read articles about the same story by two different journalists that I follow on a subject, I am reading those two articles because I value the perspective that those individuals bring based on their background, based on their experiences also as a human being. When it comes to this kind of AI that's coming from Google, what perspective are you getting? Google is training the AI to write news articles. So the AI will have the bias that favors Google as a multinational corporation. That is terrifying to me. That makes me terrified of the articles that will come out of all of these different, papers, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, CNN, all of these places that people read expecting to get, journalism from human beings will now all be Google. What is the antitrust concern there?
That's a great point.
There being no value. Yeah, there being no value add here just suggests that Google's doing it to make more money, but potentially also to have more influence over our media.
That antitrust argument really struck me because Google already has a huge role to play in determining what news makes its way to Americans. They have the Google News function on their website where they get to choose which articles are prioritized. They can bury things that they don't like. Their algorithm has a huge amount of control over the dissemination of information in our country. And I can definitely see a world where if they have Google bots writing AI articles and submitting them to different news outlets or partnering with news outlets to use those, there is almost no way that Google is not going to prioritize their AI robot articles over articles written by human beings because it adds more value to their company to say that they have captured and cornered the entire news business and done it all with their very wonderful technology. Unfortunately, we have to leave it there, but we'll be back with more Rising after this.